So I think a good place to start this video is to first learn what exactly a dicot is. So what exactly is a dicot? A dicot is a name given to a group of flowering plants with specific characteristics that we will go into more detail later on in this video. Monocots are also another classification of flowering plants, but that is not the focus of this video. However, I will be discussing some of the differences between the two. There are quite a number of differences between dicots and monocots, so I will only go over a few of them for now. Firstly, dicots are observed to have a net-like leaf vein arrangement, as opposed to monocots that are parallel running leaf veins. As you can see in the picture below, the dicot leaf is on the left and the monocot leaf is on the right. Secondly, monocots tend to have a fibrous root system as opposed to a taproot system that is present in dicots. This fibrous root system allows the roots to absorb water and nutrients over a wider area and thus increasing its survivability. The taproot system, on the other hand, is able to bury deep underground and locate water and nutrients that will be much harder for plants with a fibrous root system to obtain. This makes plants with the taproot structure much more drought tolerant. Finally, dicots always have their floral growths in groups of 4s or 5s, whereas monocots have their floral growths in groups of 3s. The picture below is an example of a monocot and dicot respectively. Now that we have gone over the differences between monocots and dicots, I think this would be a good time to talk about the stem structure of a dicot flower. There are many components that make up the stem of a dicot, and each component plays a unique role in the functioning of the plant. Firstly, there is the epidermis, which serves as the surface layer of the stem cell and protects it from the external environment. The collenchyma follows directly below the epidermis and is responsible for strengthening the growing plant. The pith forms a large area of the stem and consists of the inner area of the stem itself. It is made up of what are known as parenchyma cells, which are responsible for the storage and transport of nutrients throughout the plant. The vascular bundle is also another critical section of the stem and houses the xylem, phloem, as well as its associated fibers. The xylem is the vascular tissue in the plant and is responsible for transporting both water as well as nutrients throughout the root system. The phloem is yet another vascular tissue that serves a very specific purpose. It is responsible for the movement of metabolic products away from the stem. And finally, we have the cortex, which is a layer of tissue located in between the surrounding boundaries of the vascular.
Moving on, we shall now explore the progressive features of the angiosperm and their potential evolutionary advantages. An angiosperm is defined as a flowering plant, typically producing seeds within carpels. By the mid-Cretaceous period, about 100 million years ago, angiosperms were dominating the landscape according to the fossil records. Our question is why this could have possibly happened. The progressive features of angiosperms, which set them apart from other plants, are flowers, fruits, endosperms, and vessels and sieve tubes. We will now begin with the evolutionary advantages of flowers. Angiosperms produce their gametes in separate organs, usually housed inside a flower. These reproductive organs make pollination more efficient and directed by coevolution, as insects and animals transfer pollen from flower to flower. Fertilization and embryo development take place inside a structure, providing a stable system of sexual reproduction sheltered from fluctuations in the environment. The dominance of angiosperms can thus be linked to adaptations for pollination, as increasing diversity of flying insects such as butterflies and moths. Moreover, we will now move on to the evolutionary advantages of fruit. After the egg is fertilized in an angiosperm, the ovule develops into a seed. Here, the surrounding tissues of the ovary wall thicken as it matures into a fruit. Fruits protect the seed and aid in its dispersal over a wide range. Fruits can be dispersed through different agents such as wind, digestion by animals, and hooking onto fur, allowing them to cover large distances. Hence, the presence of fruit provides angiosperm with a means of protection and distribution. Furthermore, we will now explore the evolutionary advantages provided by the presence of an endosperm. In angiosperms, each ovule receives a pollen tube, delivering two sperm cells to the embryo sac. One sperm fertilizes the egg cell, developing the diploid zygote, while the other sperm fertilizes the central cell, which develops into the endosperm. The endosperm is a highly nutritive tissue, which provides food for the developing embryo and early stages of seedling development. Depending on the species, the endosperm can be absent, short-lived, maintained in the mature seed, or absorbed by the developing embryo. Therefore, the presence of an endosperm is extremely beneficial to the developing plant. Finally, we'll wrap up with the evolutionary advantages provided by an angiosperm's vascular system. Angiosperms possess efficient water-conducting elements, known as vessel elements, in addition to tracheids in their xylem. In comparison, a gymnosperm only contains tracheids in its xylem. The vessel elements are large conducting tubes capable of rapid transport of materials throughout the plant body. Thus, the vascular system of an angiosperm is much more efficient in transporting materials than that of a gymnosperm.